طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن اهتدى بهداه وبعد. So we're still in the context in Surah Al-Baqarah that talks about the children of Israel, and we said this is an example of one population and how they responded to the message of Allah, the divine message, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they received the message. One of the prime messenger that they received was Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Prophet Musa alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks in detail in Surah Al-Baqarah about their response and how they handled the divine message. And there is lessons for everyone there to learn. So we got to the point where there's a story after which the whole surah is named. The story of Al-Baqarah, of the cow. And there's a reason why this whole surah was named after this story, because this story is very central and important in this surah. Like it's right at the center of the whole intent or the theme of this surah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً قَالُوا أَتَتَّخِذُنَا هُزُوًا قَالَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. So I'll read the verses in Arabic, translate in English, then we will go over them in detail. And remember when Moses said to his people, Allah commands you to sacrifice a cow. They replied, are you mocking us? Because what happened, the background of this story, there was a murder. A man was killed. Innocent man was killed. And no one knew who the murderer was. They didn't know who committed that murder, who killed him. They asked, inquired about, no one confessed. So they wanted to know who the murderer was, to punish him. And in the light of denial by everyone and lack of evidence, they turned to Musa alayhi salam to ask Allah to help them to identify the murderer, who's the criminal. So Musa alayhi salam asked Allah to help them find the criminal. Allah sent that command. This is when Musa said to his people, Allah commands you to sacrifice a cow. They replied, are you mocking us? Moses responded, I seek refuge in Allah from acting foolishly. قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما هي قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا فارض ولا بكر عوان بين ذلك فافعلوا ما تؤمرون. They said, call upon your Lord to clarify for us what type of cow it should be. He replied, Allah says, the cow should neither be old nor young, but in between, so do as you are commanded. So Allah told them, if you want to find the murderer, you should slaughter a cow. So they said to Musa alayhi salam, call upon your Lord and ask him, what kind of cow is he looking for? Allah said to them, slaughter a cow. Baqar, a cow. They said, which type of cow? Which one you actually want? So Allah gave them some description. It shouldn't be old, shouldn't be young, somewhere in the middle. Not difficult. قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما لونها قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة صفراء فاقع لونها تسر الناظرين. They said, call upon your Lord to specify for us its color. What color is the cow? He replied, Allah says, it should be a bright yellow cow, pleasant to see. Like it looks pleasant, looks really like it captures the eyes. قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما هي إن البقرة تشابه علينا وإنا إن شاء الله لمهتدون. So they said, again, call upon your Lord so that He may make clear to us which cow, for all cows look the same to us. Then Allah willing, we will be guided to the right one. قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا ذلول تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث مسلمة لا شية فيها قالوا الآن جئت بالحق فذبحوها وما كادوا يفعلون. So again they just asked obviously Musa, clarify more to us because cows look all the same to us. We can't tell which cow. He replied, Allah says it should have been used neither to till the soil nor water the fields. So it should be a spoiled cow. Spoiled cow is not used for hard work. Like a free-range cow that you just spoil and look after. That's it. Wholesome and without blemish. They said, now you have come with the truth. Now you have come with the truth. As if it was before it wasn't truth. So they said, now you have come with the truth, yet they still slaughtered it hesitantly. Like they weren't very sure. Like they almost did not do it, but they just found no other option, so they just went with it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, وَإِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا فَادَّارَأْتُمْ فِيهَا وَاللَّهُ مُخْرِجٌ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. This is when a man was killed and you disputed who the killer was, but Allah revealed what you concealed. فَقُلْنَا اضْرِبُوهُ بِبَعْضِهَا كَذَلِكَ يُحْيِي اللَّهُ الْمَوْتَى وَيُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. So we instructed, strike the dead body with a piece of the cow. This is how easily Allah brings the dead to life, showing you His signs so that you may understand. So this was the story of the cow. Again, the context was a man was killed, no one knew who killed him, or no one confessed to kill him. So they wanted Allah to help them. So Allah put forth a miracle for them. Allah said, I will help you find the murderer. And what you need to do is slaughter a cow. Slaughter a cow. And use one piece of it to hit the dead body with it. The murdered person. Hit his body with it. And Allah would bring him back to life and he would speak. It's a miracle. Why is this story important? Because we do the same, by the way. We all do the same. So let's start breaking it down. So first, they were in need. They could not know who the murderer was, so they needed Allah's help. So Allah said, okay, I will show you a way. I'll show you a way. That means, okay, you trust me and I will show you, because you guys are clueless. You don't have any knowledge who the murderer is, and you don't have any tools to be able to tell who the murderer is. So I am going to give you a new way. You guys know nothing about it. Just follow my instructions. So the first instruction was, Musa said to his people, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً. Allah commands you to slaughter a cow. What is so difficult about this? Allah says, for example, if you're looking for a piece of information, or you're looking for some kind of an answer, I tell you, hey, pick up a book from the shelf. What does that mean? That means you go to the shelf and you pick up any book. But if you are too fussy and you're not sure, you're going to say, which book you're talking about? There's about 30 books on each shelf. Which one of them you're talking about? But, my command to you, or my instructions to you, okay, are so specific, are so clear. Get me a book from that shelf. A book. It's indefinite. That means, in the Arabic language or in the Usul fiqh, they call this mutlaq. It's open. Like any book you pick up from the shelf, that's it. You've just done what you were instructed. So Allah says, slaughter a cow. Instead of them just going and getting a cow and slaughtering it, and that would be end of story, and they would actually know who the murderer was. But this is argumentation. They said, cow doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. If it's going to make a miracle, it has to be special. So they said, what type of cow you're talking about? This is argumentation again. This is argumentation. So they did not appreciate the fact that Allah was helping them out, yet they wanted to argue. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ, by the way, said, ما أوتي قوم الجدل إلا هلكوا. There is no people who are given argumentativeness, being very argumentative. When someone says something, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? What if that happens? What if that happens? Okay, you just keep coming up with hypothetical questions, objections, etc., arguments that are pointless. Okay? If you are that kind of person, then the Prophet ﷺ says any people who are given this argumentative nature, then they would be destroyed. They would be destroyed. Why? Because communication among humans is supposed to be at a basic level. I tell you something you understand, okay? You get the meaning. You respond to me with a language I understand, you get the meaning. But if I tell you, can you please give me a cup of water? And you say, why do you want water for? You're making it hard for me. You're being argumentative. There's plenty of cups of water. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer tap water? Or do you want spring water? And do you want it now? Or do you want it later? You see how life becomes difficult like this? Specifically dealing with divine guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says something is halal. You just do it. Allah says something is haram. You avoid it. As simple as that. So what happens? Why will people be destroyed? Because if you approach the Quran with this argumentative nature, man, you will be lost. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. We made the Quran easy for people who want to remember. Let me show you how the Muslims fell into this, by the way. How the Muslims fell into this. Or let me give you another example. There's another example that happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. After the Battle of Khaybar, when Quraysh and another tribe, Ghatafan, and some other tribes like Banu Sulaym and others, they gathered together and they attacked Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, they dug a trench in order to protect themselves. The non-Muslims were about 10,000. The Muslims were 3,000 inside of Medina, and they were trying to protect themselves. Now, one of the sides of Medina was open, but the Prophet ﷺ was feeling safe. Why? Because there is Banu Qurayza, a Jewish tribe. They had an agreement with the Muslims of common defense, that we will defend each other. So the Prophet ﷺ had an agreement with them that if we get attacked, you guys cover our back. They said, yes, you've got that. So the Prophet ﷺ was safe. But what these guys did, they betrayed the Prophet ﷺ, and they agreed with Quraysh and with Ghatafan, with the enemies of Islam, that hey guys, we are going to conspire with you and we will let you in. Now this was the most difficult time for the Muslims, by the way. But anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected the Muslims from this. Quraysh left back to Mecca, Ghatafan went back to their land, and the whole, these tribes, they dispersed, they went back. The Prophet ﷺ went back to his house on that day, and he was taking off his armor. After the battle, his armor, made of iron. So he took it off. Jibreel came to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Ya Muhammad, أَوَ خَلَعْتَ دِرْعَكَ. Did you take off your armor? The Prophet said, yes. So Jibreel said, فَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَمْ تَنْزَعْ دُرُوعَهَا بَعْدُ عَلَيْكَ بِبَنِي قُرَيْضَةٍ. He said, the angels have not taken their armors yet. That means that still they are ready for the fight. You have to deal with Banu Qurayza who betrayed you, stabbed you in the back. You have to deal with them now. You can't waste time. Don't take a rest. So the Prophet ﷺ, and it was what? Just before Asr time. After the Dhuhr, before Asr, the Prophet ﷺ says to the Muslims, he wants them to rush to Banu Qurayza. And it would be about a couple of hours for the whole army to get there. And the time for Asr was short. So the Prophet ﷺ says to them, لا يصلين أحد العصر إلا في بني قريظة. Let none of you pray Asr except in Bani Qurayza. So you guys don't pray Asr except when we get to Bani Qurayza. So on the way, it was Asr time. So some companions said, we're going to pray, it's Asr time, and we are already on the way. We can just take 5 minutes and pray our prayer and carry on. Some of them said, no, The Prophet ﷺ said, you only pray Asr in Banu Qurayza when you arrive there. So some of the companions prayed on the way, some of the other companions prayed over there. The Prophet ﷺ was told about this, he said nothing. He said nothing. Why? He doesn't want argumentation. It was okay, you understood it this way, because the first group, they said, the Prophet ﷺ said, pray Asr only in Banu Qurayza. He wanted us to leave Medina now and rush, not waste any time. He didn't mean, oh, you missed Asr and you prayed, because the ones who prayed Asr, by the way, when they arrived at Banu Qurayza, it was Maghrib time. It was past Asr. They missed Asr. Right? But it was, even though they prayed it afterwards, because they obeyed the Prophet ﷺ in doing so. So the Prophet ﷺ agreed to both of them. Agreed to both of them. And the good point was there was no argumentation. No argumentation. Whereas, for example, during the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, in Iraq, in the area of Iraq, there was Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. He was the leader, Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. A man in the Muslim army, he's from Iraq, his name is Sabigh ibn Usul. Sabigh ibn Usul is in the Muslim army, and he keeps going to those Muslims. He's saying, Allah says in the Quran, وَالذَّارِيَاتِ ذَرْوَى فَالْحَامِلَاتِ وِقْرًا. Surah al-Dhariyat. He says, what is the Dhariyat? What is al-Hamilat? What are these? What are these? Okay? So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari hears about that. Now, al-Dhariyat in the Arabic language is known what it means. Some things that blow. Okay? He's talking about angels. But he's saying, what does that mean? Why is this mentioned in the Quran? So Abu Musa al-Ash'ari hears about this guy. He meets him. Then he writes to Umar al-Khattab. He says, here is a guy who is asking about وَالذَّارِيَاتِ ذَرْوَى. Like, basically just argumentatively. It's not like he wants to know, because it's known, the meaning is known. But he's basically saying, why does Allah mention it? Just like the Baqarah. Allah says, slaughter a cow. They said, what kind of cow? Instead of just finding a cow and slaughtering it, they said, what type of cow? What does that mean? Why do you mention a cow? Why is it a cow? Why is it not a dog? Why is it not a sheep, for example? Okay? So this guy was asking, why al-Dhariyat dharwa? Why al-Hamilat uqra? Why al-Jariyat yusra? Why all of this? Right? So he says it's to Umar al-Khattab, he says there's a guy who asks about these things. Umar al-Khattab says, bring him over to me. Send him over. So he comes to Umar al-Khattab. They send him to Umar al-Khattab from Iraq to Medina, long distance. He comes and arrives in Medina. Umar al-Khattab says, what's going on? He says, I'm just asking about what dhariyati dharwa, al-hamilati waqra. What is that? Why is this? Umar al-Khattab, have you seen the date trees, palm trees? Do you see the branches? The dry branches, they're really hard, yeah? Umar al-Khattab prepared a few of them for that guy. When the guy came, he said, come, I'll teach you. They shackle him, and Umar al-Khattab whips him on his back until his back bleeds. Then he leaves him. He leaves him.